A very good evening. You're joining Prime TV News with me, Vibhuda Vijay Bandaram. First, let's look at today's headlines. The no-confidence motion against Minister Badiuddin will be debated on the 18th and 19th of next month. Presidential pardon for Venerable Jnana Sarathera. Narendra Modi takes over India again. Rations and other allowances of the armed forces. And now for the news in detail. It has been decided to take up for debate the no-confidence motion against Minister Rishad Badiuddin on the 18th and 19th of next month. Views on this respect were issued in Parliament today. Meanwhile, the Select Committee appointed to inquire into and report on the Easter Sunday attacks in function under the patronage of Deputy Speaker Ananda Kumarasiri. Information in this respect was presented to Parliament by Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. Meanwhile, Minister Lakshman Kirialis said that he would discuss with the Speaker on the opening of the Select Committee for the media to report on its proceedings. The Commissioner General of Prisons stated that he has received instructions on a presidential pardon for Venerable Galagodatte Jnana Sarathera, who was arrested in 2016 over contempt of court charges. He said that he has received the relevant documents containing the President's recommendations to release Jnana Sarathera. Commissioner General of Prisons Jayasiri Tennakun stated that he received the relevant letter with the President's signature. The Thera is likely to be released from the Valikara prison later today, where he is currently being held. The Bharatiya Janata Party, headed by Narendra Modi, has succeeded in winning the Indian general election. The Bharatiya Janata Party has secured 346 seats, while the Indian Congress Party, led by Rahul Gandhi, has won only 91 seats. President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister have congratulated Narendra Modi on his significant victory. President Maithripala Sirisena has issued a Twitter message congratulating Narendra Modi. The President in this message had pointed out that the Indian people have again endorsed their trust in Narendra Modi. The President said that he intends to maintain productive relations between India and Sri Lanka in the future. Issuing another Twitter message, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that Narendra Modi's victory is a significant one. He pointed out that he expected to work very closely with India in the future. More details on the Indian general election will be brought to our viewers in the foreign news segment. Moving on, Minister Rajitha Senaratne has said that actions will be taken to immediately build medical faculties within the Wayamba and Moratuwa universities. A discussion in this respect was held within the Health Ministry. It was mentioned at this discussion that the faculties are due to be built in affiliation to the Wayamba University and the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital. The expenditure to be incurred is 29 billion rupees. Accordingly, the Kuliyapitiya Base Hospital will be made a teaching hospital. Professors' unit is also slated to be built. An accident and emergency treatment unit, a medical official housing complex, an OPD unit and a service building are to be constructed under the first stage. 15 billion rupees will be set aside for his purpose. It was emphasized at this discussion that construction work is due to commence next month. Meanwhile, the medical faculty affiliated to the Moratuwa University is to come to an extent of 15 acres in the Kalutara area. The Kalutara and Panadura Base Hospital will be developed parallel to this work. The Panadura Base Hospital will be developed with 22,000 million euros. Work on the Moratuwa Medical Faculty is scheduled to commence by the end of this year. Discussions in these respects were held by Parliamentarian Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa and Health Ministry officials and the Vice Chancellors to the respective universities. The Permanent High Court at Bar has decided to commence hearing the case filed against former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa over the D.A. Rajapaksa Museum, Delhi, from 19 June. The case has been filed against 7 persons, including Gotabaya Rajapaksa, over the misappropriation of a sum of 33.9 million rupees in the construction of the museum. The Special High Court has granted the former Defence Secretary permission to travel abroad and temporarily lifted the overseas travel ban currently imposed on him, agreeing to the request made by the Defence Attorney. The Defence Attorney told the court that his client is required to travel to Singapore from 24th of this month to the 2nd of next month for medical test and further treatment, and sought the permission of the Special High Court in this regard. The court ordered that the medical documents after his Singapore visit during this period be produced at the next hearing. The Permanent High Court ordered to reject the preliminary objections submitted on behalf of the 2nd, 5th, 6th and 7th defendants other than Gotabaya Rajapaksa who are accused over the incident. The case was summoned before a 3-judge bench comprising Sampath Abekun, Sampath Wijeratna and Champa Janaki Rajaratna. The Permanent High Court at Bar today ordered the defence and the prosecution to present final submissions on the case against the former President's Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath and 2 others on the 3rd of next month. The High Court at Bar also informed to present to courts through a motion if there are any corrections in earlier evidence. The Attorney General had filed the case against Gamini Senarath, Piyadasa Kudabalage, who served as Managing Director of the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation, and Lasantha Bandara. The Attorney General had filed the case against the defendants under the Public Property Act for allegedly misappropriating 500 million rupees in funds belonging to Litrogas Lanka by investing in ventures including the Helanko Hotels and Spa Hotel project. 2 new flyovers will be constructed in affiliation to the Kohuwala and Getabe junctions. These are being constructed as a solution to the severe traffic congestions at these junctions.
Funds for these 2 flyovers will be obtained with the assistance of the support of the Hungarian government. Cabinet approval was granted to award this construction contract to a Hungarian firm based on the recommendations of a committee appointed by the Cabinet. The second stage of the construction of the medical faculty of the Sabaragama University is in progress. Under this program, the medical faculty will get an administrative library, pre-clinical buildings, students' hostels, official quarters, and construction of professor units. In addition, medical laboratories and the purchase of office equipment and training of staff are also be undertaken. The support of the Saudi Development Fund will be solicited for the construction of the second stage. The Kudavilachya tank will be constructed to obtain drinking water for the people of the area and agricultural activities. It is presently abandoned, but with its reconstruction, about 25,000 people living in 12 Grama Niladhari divisions will benefit. Around 320 hectares of lands can be cultivated. In addition, the Dematagoda tank, which has overgrown with shrubs, is to be constructed as a solution to the water issue faced by the people of the Palagala area.
The 24 Sri Lankan fishermen who were in custody in the Maldives have been released. The 4 trawlers that were in custody of the Maldivian Coast Guard officials have also been released. State Minister Dilip Vedarachi held discussions with Maldivian authorities of a price in the Prime Minister. The Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as the Ministry of Fisheries also mediated in the issue. The fishermen and the trawlers were released as a result of the discussions. These fishermen and the trawlers have been brought to the island. 3 suspects have been arrested along with 225 kilograms of Kerala cannabis. A motor vehicle was stopped and examined at the roadblock situated in the CP town within the Medavache police division. 2 suspects were apprehended with 66 parcels of Kerala cannabis. The police said that they recovered 132 kilograms of Kerala cannabis from these parcels. The inspection was carried based on a tip-off received by the officials of the Medavache police station. The suspects were due to be produced in the Anuradhapura courts. Meanwhile, 93 kilograms of Kerala cannabis were recovered when a private bus was examined at the Tirikadiswaran junction in Mana. A suspect along with the bus have been taken into police custody. Sri Lanka's High Commission in Pakistan has refuted reports that trade activities between Sri Lanka and Pakistan have come to a halt. A news release issued by the High Commission said that trading between the two countries is proceeding as usual. The Express Tribune newspaper in Pakistan recently reported that trade between Pakistan and Sri Lanka has come to a halt following the prevailing situation in the island nation. The Sri Lanka High Commission in Pakistan has mentioned that it informed the editor of the newspaper concerned that there is no such truth in this report. The nod of the Treasury has been received to increase the rations and the other allowances of the armed force. The increases concerned will be effective from the 1st of July. The Finance Minister said that no increments of many of these allowances had been made for the last 20-year period. Finance Minister Mangala Samaraweera gave a pledge in this year's budget that the allowances paid to all officers and other ranks within the armed forces will be increased. Accordingly, the ration allowance of officers was increased to 23,231 from last January in addition to their salaries. The monthly ration of those in other ranks was increased up to 19,350 rupees. In addition, the rent allowance granted to members of the armed forces will also be doubled. The commando allowance of civil officers in the naval and air forces will be increased from 1,000 rupees to 5,000 rupees. The Treasury has approved the daily paid well-being benefits allowances and the uniform allowance paid to all ranks. His Eminence Cardinal Fernando, who arrived in the island representing His Holiness Pope Francis to make inquiries into the well-being of the people affected by the Easter bomb attacks, met Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Cardinal Fernando, who arrived in the island, met Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Vatican Embassy in Sri Lanka. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, also joined in this occasion. Meanwhile, Cardinal Fernando arrived today at the Katuapitia Church, which devastated by the Easter Sunday attacks, and inquired into the well-being of the people affected by the disaster. Awarding a memento on behalf of the disaster-struck people, the Cardinal inquired into the well-being of the people. The laying of foundation stone for the new church that is to come up in the Don David Water General Cemetery, where the dead were buried, took place under the patronage of Cardinal Filoni. He expressed his heartfelt sympathies on behalf of those killed and who sustained injuries in the attack. He offered his blessings to those impacted in the disaster. A group including Minister John Amarathunga was present on the occasion.
U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Elena B. Teplitz, has called on the Mahanayaka Theras of the Asgiriya and Malwatte chapters and secured their blessings. Arriving at the Asgiriya Mahavihara, the U.S. Ambassador called on the Mahanayaka, the most venerable Varakagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thera, and received his blessings.
Thank you for the warm welcome and for receiving us this morning. I appreciate it.
Thereafter, Ambassador Elena Teplitz visited the Malwatte Mahavihara and paid courtesy call on the Mahanayaka, the most venerable Thibotuwawe Sri Sumangala Thera, and secured his blessings. Expressing her views to the media, the U.S. ambassador said that a strong foundation has been laid on security due to the cooperation existing between the two countries.
I had a good opportunity to talk with the Mahayanaka about some of issues of concern and, of course, express my hope for peaceful harmony in Sri Lanka, something I think both of our countries are working towards, and it's good to be able to talk with a leader of faith about these important issues. I think you're referring to the cross-servicing agreement, which is an agreement we concluded with a previous government. Again, another logistical agreement about arrangements to take care of our ships and when we're in each other's country. These are the kinds of agreements that countries make in order to facilitate their security and defense relationships, and they're done to avoid many hours of negotiating every time we have a visit. I think as a sign of our partnership with Sri Lanka, we want to continue our joint exercises and continue to strengthen our defense partnership in order to ensure that Sri Lanka's sovereignty is protected, that it has full capacity to patrol its maritime waters, and so that the region as a whole can be made stable and stronger. I think Sri Lanka as a country needs to have many friends. And I think at the end, it's the quality of those friendships that matter for the people here. Will those friendships help reinforce Sri Lanka's sovereignty? Will they help Sri Lanka with development? Will they help with partnerships that benefit the people here? And that's what's important at the end of the day.
A special project will be launched for the people living in low-lying areas in affiliation to the Nilbala River to face the flood menace that is being experienced for several years. The scheme is scheduled to be launched tomorrow, centering the Mathura district. People living in affiliation to the Nilbala River suffered enormous hardships due to large-scale floods in 2023 and 2017. However, not a single government had so far taken any successful measures to face this situation. Minister Sagal Ratnayaka, who took cognizance of the issue, decided to launch the Nilbala High River Disaster Management Centre, costing around 75 million rupees. Accordingly, this development project is planned to be mooted from Mathura to Malimbada. It is planned to plant trees on the river valley and the walls. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is due to participate on this occasion. With the end of the local segment, now we move on to Biz News. The central bank, on behalf of the government, has raised $165.5 million via the latest issuance of the Sri Lanka development bonds, from $196 million worth of bids received. The multi-tenor with fixed and floating interest rate SLDB issuance was for $200 million. It also accepted 28.3 million out of 43.8 million bids received for 2-year 2 months fixed rate option at weighted average fixed rate of 5.8% and $17.69 million out of $30 million received for 1 year 8 months fixed rate offering at weighted average fixed rate of 5.93%. In January, first ever SLDB issue for 2019 worth $200 million when unsubscribed, with $181.73 million bids received. However, the central bank accepted $179.73 million worth of bids. With that, we end today's Prime TV News Bulletin. Prime News returns tomorrow, and in the meantime, make www.itnnews.lk your go-to source for the very latest from news at home and overseas. Have a pleasant day. Good night.